Hello there, everyone. Today I'll be looking at the novel Before the Batman original movie novel. This novel is a 23-chapter story which was originally published in February of 2022 and was written by David Newman. Now let's go on to the story. The story begins in late 2001 where the Wayne family is visiting Wayne Manor, which is now an orphanage as they moved out when Bruce was 6. He's now 10 and they are there to announce Thomas Wayne's campaign as mayor as well as the start of the renewal program. We had an awkward moment where young Edward Ashton stares at Bruce with burning hatred.
You know, I was there that day. The day the great Thomas Wayne announced he was running for mayor, made all those promises. Well, a week later he was dead and everybody just forgot about us.
We flash 7 years later. Bruce lives in Wayne Tower. He's just returned from boarding school where he got perfect grades and Alfred asks what his summer plans are. He doesn't have any. He goes down into the tower's basement through a hidden door that leads into an old abandoned subway terminal, which his ancestors used as a way to commute around the city. He uses this space as a little bat cave. He secretly works on a muscle car and one night he decides to take it out for a spin. He gets pulled over by the police for speeding, but instead of giving him a ticket, they just let him go because a fine wouldn't impact the richest man in Gotham. Bruce hates the fact that he's popular and rich, and after this he feels a need to go faster, and he ends up meeting a girl named Dex, who introduces him to a secret street racing group. Bruce starts racing under the alias of Paul. Meanwhile, on the other side of town, Edward Ashton is a food delivery guy, still living at the orphanage, saving money to go to college to become a forensic accountant. As he's a bit of an outcast, he just sticks to himself in puzzles. While delivering an order, he almost gets run over by the racing cars. He despises them because they are rich and don't appreciate how much they have. So he decides to teach them a lesson and build a bond. A couple weeks later, while Bruce and Dex are chatting, Edward sneaks in and places something in the car's tailpipe. The race begins as normal, but midway through, Bruce sees a flash of light from Dex's car, and it rolls over and catches on fire. Bruce stops and breaks through the window to pull Dex out to safety. He takes the remainder of the tailpipe with him and drives away before Dex can even say thank you. When he gets back to the cave, he studies it and figures out it's a bomb. Alfred sneaks up on him and asks what he's doing. Bruce tries to play it cruel, but Alfred knows all about the street racing and uses this as a teaching moment to show that he shouldn't run away from responsibility, but should run towards something. About 11 years pass. During this time, Bruce has traveled across the world, training to become Batman. And when he comes home, he starts working on a suit and uses the materials from the Wayne R&D lab. While he's sketching out designs, a bat flies past him, giving him an idea. Meanwhile, Edward has achieved his goal of becoming a forensic accountant, but he feels left out and all alone. The following night, Bruce is in his drifter disguise and notices someone breaking into a jewelry store. He quickly changes into his prototype bat suit and confronts the man. The guy obviously gets scared and starts to run away while spraying Batman with explosive gel. The criminal gets away, but not before Bruce throws a tracker on it. Bruce just goes back to the cave and investigates the gel. Also that same night, Edward drives past Wayne Manor and decides that no kid should ever have to live there again. He drives to the gas station where he buys a gas can and goes into the orphanage to set off the fire alarm so that no one will get hurt. He starts a fire and leaves feeling disappointed because no one knew and he didn't get any recognition. He's still
nobody wants to be somebody.
Next morning over breakfast, Bruce casually asks Alfred if he has any contacts in the police department. Bruce sends an anonymous letter to one of the contacts on Alfred's list. Surprisingly, it's not Gordon. It's a female lieutenant named Jury. The letter says it explains the explosive gel and that the GCPD should be looking more into it. Later that night, Bruce looks at his laptop that shows the location of the thief. He goes there and watches from afar as he sees the thief buying more explosive gel from Dex. When she drives away, Bruce follows her to find a location of her stash for future use. Bruce is confused of why Dex would be involved in something like this, so he gives Shuri a call asking for Dex's criminal background. Shuri explains that Dex's father was sent to prison for being an enforcer for the Penguin. The following night, Bruce confronts Dex and asks about the explosive gel. She explains that her father was framed by the mob and that he'll let him go if she delivers the explosives. Batman manages to convince her to meet up with the mob one more time so he can take them down and deliver them to the GCPD and give them evidence to set Dex's father free. Dex stays Batman, but he vanishes. And well, that's the story. Overall, I think this novel's pretty okay. I mean, it's not great, but it's not bad either. I feel like it would have been better as a comic than a novel, but that's just my opinion. Now, if you were to ask me what happened before the Batman and what I should read, I would highly recommend Riddler Year 1. It does a better job at looking at Gotham's reaction to Batman in Bruce's first year of being a vigilante, and as the title says, it's focused on Edward Ashton, the man who would become the Riddler. Now you may ask, well, if you loved Riddler Year 1 so much, why didn't you make a video about that? Well, because there's two reasons. One being that Riddler Year 1, as of recording this, was only 4 issues out, and I want to review it as a whole. And the other reason is, even though this isn't the best story, it's still good, and I think it's still important to understanding the Batman universe. Anyway, thank you for watching.